welcome to another At History Gems. What's that? It seems to be a book. It's good. It's very good. The Busy Person's Guide to British History. Oh, silly me. I wrote it. The Busy Person's Guide to British History is now available on Amazon, both in the US and UK. Okay, here's my pitch about the book. There are many history books out there, and the reality is a lot of what's in new history books has already been in old history books. And like everybody else, I don't have brand new research to tell you something amazingly different like, I don't know, the English 1 at 1066. But what I've tried to do is I've had a lifelong love of history, and I've tried to get that down on the pages. I've also tried to be fair, and many history books aren't fair. It drives me crazy when you buy a book on British history or English history and it starts at 1066. What, the previous 1,000 years of history doesn't count? So for that reason, I've tried to be fair about the periods. I spend quite a lot of time talking about the Vikings, but if you consider the first Viking encounter happened in the year 793, and the last Viking incursion happened in 1066, you're talking about more than 250 years of British history. We're talking about a group that founded most of the ancient towns in Ireland, that changed the language, the DNA, of many parts of the British Isles. These guys are simply more important than Henry VIII. And yet, who tends to get more books? Well, yeah, it's Henry VIII because he had 6 wives and he was a bit fat. And okay, Church of England, I'll give him that. That was quite important. But actually, a lot of the well-known kings and queens of British history aren't necessarily the really important ones, or the ones who even ruled for an amount of time. There are far more books about bloody Queen Mary the First of England than there are about Henry III. Most Brits would be able to tell you who the first president of the United States was. George Washington. God bless him. Ask them who the first king of England was. Everyone gets a bit hazy. His name was Athelstan, by the way. He was quite a remarkable man. Write about him too. So, the reality is that if you look at a lot of the popular history books, they're quite lazy. They'll tell you about the Romans, if you're lucky. They'll tell you about 1066 for certain. They'll obviously go on about Henry VIII and some of the merry monarchs like Charles II. But what I've tried to do is give you a full but broad history, and I've tried to keep to the interesting bits. For those of you who want to say that it's the little people who make history, it's the slow changes of society, the changes of agriculture that really are the big impacts on populations. Do you know what? You're right. Those are the things that are really important. Social history has more impact than any one battle in history. But unfortunately, the problem is that's dull. Really dull. Sorry. So I concentrate on the violence. The reason why I did a degree in medieval history was because you can't separate the politics from the wars. If you disagree with somebody in the 1100s, you invariably burnt down their house, killed their family, and then took everything you could. It's not right. Amnesty International should have been invented a lot earlier, but it does make for interesting stories. Game of Thrones, that's a hugely popular TV show at the moment, is basically medieval Europe with a few dragons as well thrown in. Why not? So, if you want something entertaining, if you want something that gets you thinking a little bit, fills in the blanks, then The Busy Person's Guide to British History is for you. As always, you can find At History Gems on Twitter and also on Facebook. But of course now I can say, you can buy the book. Please do, I have an illustrator to pay. Thank you.